Bible in plain view. I'm Brother Julius. That's Brother Vince, my man over here. He's going to be reading for me. I'm going to be teaching the class. And today's lesson is the Sabbath day is still good, still holy. And that's one thing we have to understand, that we have to keep this Sabbath day. It's one of the things that the Lord requires us to do. And believe it or not, that's going to be one of the determining factors, in judgment. People don't understand that. They think it's a game. I'm going to show you, I'm going to let the Bible show you that this is a serious matter and how serious the Sabbath day is. Also, even until the end of the world, the Lord is still calling the seventh day of the week, which we know as Saturday, the Sabbath day. So we're going to open this up at Matthew chapter 23. And I'm sorry, Matthew chapter 24, my bad. And this is when the disciples asked Jesus, what are the signs of the end of the world? So Matthew 24, pick it up at verse 3. When you get there, bro, go ahead and read.
And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?
Keep reading, bro.
And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many.
Right, so the first thing he said right out the gate is, he said, and Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. So he's showing them signs. And the first sign he showed was deception. He said, Take heed that no man deceive you. But keep reading, bro.
And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
More signs, but keep reading.
For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places.
Verse 8, bro.
All these are the beginning of sorrow.
Right, so he's showing them the end time signs and everything like that. But go down, jump down to verse 12.
Verse 12, and because iniquity shall abound, love of many shall wax cold.
Haven't these things already have happened? Now you got people killing each other. No one cares about each other anymore. I just got a good friend of mine just got killed a week ago. This stuff is real. But jump down to verse 15, bro.
When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand.
Right now, so the Lord is showing you or giving you direction to go and read the book of Daniel about the abomination of desolation. It says, Whoso read it, let him understand. That hasn't happened yet. Those are signs of the end time. But keep reading, bro.
Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes.
Right, so the Lord's telling you, when the abomination of desolation, this man of sin, comes and stands in the holy place, he's telling us to flee. He's not telling us to look out for a secret raptor, nothing like that. He's telling you to get your dead to the mountains. But keep reading, bro.
And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days.
Keep reading.
But pray that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day.
Oh, so we see that this is the end of the world. This is the end times. And the Lord is still referring to the seventh day of the week as the Sabbath day. That lets you know right there that it's still good, and it's still good to this day. It says in the end times yet, right? Actually, we're living in the last days, so to say, but these things haven't happened. Some of these things haven't happened yet, and the Lord is still telling you the Sabbath day. But go, 21, bro.
For there shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be.
Right, so now we know the world has seen some bad times. There's going to be never a time like this that we ever seen. And this is at the end of the world. One day I was inquiring about the Sabbath day, and I asked a chaplain that I used to work at a hospital. I asked the chaplain, do we have to keep the Sabbath? And he said, no, we don't have to keep the Sabbath. Christ fulfilled the law. Oh, he fulfilled the law. And I was like, well, that's it? I couldn't understand. I just didn't really quite grasp that. I just couldn't understand what he was saying, really. I just was confused still. So I had to go back and do research in my Bible. A lot of times if you was to ask somebody, do we still have to keep the laws and God's feast days and holy days and the Sabbath day, stuff like that, commandments, people would tell you that Christ fulfilled the law. But they won't tell you what he fulfilled though. They can't say, oh, well, yeah, this is what he fulfilled. So I'm here to show you today what Christ fulfilled. First, we're going to go and see, let's go to Matthew chapter 5 and verse 17, where they get this scripture from. That we don't have to keep the law because Christ fulfilled everything. Matthew chapter 5, 17. Matthew chapter 5 and 17. When you get it, bro, go ahead and read.
Think not that I have come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
Right, so now this is Jesus talking. Matthew 5 and 17, this is Jesus talking. And he just said, think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. Now let's break down what he just said in verse 15. He said, think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. Now, understand this one thing. The law and the prophets, he's referring to the Old Testament. So what he's saying is, think not that I come to destroy the Old Testament, but I come to fulfill what's written of me in the Old Testament, which is the law and the prophets. Understand that. But keep reading, bro. For
verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law.
Now this is what they don't tell you though.
Till all be fulfilled.
That's right. So this is what they don't tell you. Verse 18, Matthew 5, 17, 18. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, not one jot or tittle shall no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. So what he's saying is, when you walk outside, you see heaven and earth, you see the moon and the stars, all that stuff like that, this law is still standing. As long as you see heaven and earth, as long as heaven and earth still standing, the law is still in place. And he's referring to the Old Testament law and the prophets. So we can't do away with the Old Testament at all. Period. Now let's look and see what Christ fulfilled though. Let's go to the book of Acts, bro. Acts chapter 3. And we're going to see the answer to this question that people love to say, oh, well, Christ fulfilled the law. He fulfilled the law. And then you like, well, you scratching your head like I was, and like, well, what did he fulfill? So we're gonna have the answer right here in the Bible. You know, we read from precept upon precept, line upon line. Here a little. Acts chapter 3, and we're gonna break it down in verse 17. When you get that, bro, go ahead and read.
And now, brethren, I want that through ignorance ye did it, as did also your rulers. But those things which God before has shown by the mouth of all his prophets.
Pause real quick. So what he said, and now, brethren, I want, let me see understand what's going on here. And now this is Paul speaking to some of the Jews. He said, and now, brethren, I wot that through ignorance ye did it, as did also your rulers. They're talking about when they crucified Jesus. They're talking about when they killed Jesus. So pick it up at 18, bro.
But those things which God before has shewn by the mouth of all his prophets, that Christ should suffer, he has so fulfilled.
That's what he fulfilled. Christ came here to suffer, die for the sins of man, and that's what he fulfilled. But he didn't come to do it. Christ himself told you in Matthew chapter 5, verse 17, 18, that he didn't come to do with the law of the prophets. He didn't come to do away with the Old Testament. He didn't come to do away with the Old Testament. He came to suffer and fulfill those things he had to come fulfill in the Old Testament. Now, there's things that he hasn't fulfilled yet as on the New Testament. Like, for instance, he hasn't came. The second coming of Christ hasn't happened yet, right? So he hasn't fulfilled that yet. So there's things he has to fulfill to come. So this Sabbath day, this 7-day Sabbath is very serious. And let's throw out a disclaimer right here, man. We not 7-day Adventists, okay? We not deal with the 7-day Adventist church, okay? This is the Bible in plain view, Israel, the Church of Jesus, all right? So we deal with what's in the book, and the Bible tells us to keep the 7-day holy. Again, we are not 7-day Adventists. Now let's keep reading. Let's go and see where this Sabbath day started at. Let's go to the book of Genesis, where the Lord blessed this day, and let's see how this thing got started. Because a lot of people will tell you, oh, you know, the Sabbath is for the Jews. Like if you tell somebody you keep the Sabbath, the first thing people want to say is, are you Jewish? Nah, I'm not Jewish. You know, my name Julius, and they call me Jew. I'm definitely not Jewish. You understand what I'm saying? So let's go to Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2, and let's pick it up at verse 1.
Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made.
Right, so we see in Genesis chapter 2 that the Lord, he said, and on the seventh day God ended his work which he had made, and rested on the seventh day from all the work which he had made. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it. So the Lord don't change. Malachi chapter 3 and verse 6 says, the Lord I change not. So the Lord don't change. He blessed the seventh day. The seventh day of the week is a blessed day, not the first day of the week. Okay? The seventh day is a blessed day. So he blessed that day. So let's see that day is a day that's ordained by God. So God rested. So basically he set an example. He worked all week. He worked for 6 days. And on the seventh day, he rested. Why is it so hard for us to just rest on the seventh day of the week? As God rested, he made it for us to rest. It's a beautiful thing. It's really a beautiful thing, I'm telling you. Man, let's go to Exodus chapter 20. Let's go to the 10th commandment. This is actually a commandment that people really just look over. They look up, man. I mean, you know, they look at thou shalt not kill and steal and bear false witness and all the other commandments, but they don't look at the 4th commandment. Let's Exodus 20 and pick it up verse 8 through 11, bro. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
So the Lord is telling us to remember. Now this is the only commandment that the Lord is telling us to remember. Maybe he must have knew we was going to forget. But let's keep reading.
6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work.
Again, he said, but the 7th day is the Sabbath day of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work. Keep reading, bro.
Thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gate.
So the Lord is telling you, nobody need to be working. Nobody, not even the stranger that is within your gates. Keep reading, bro.
For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the seventh day and hallowed it.
And made it holy. It says, wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it, meaning he made it holy. Again, this is the 10 commandments telling you that the Lord blessed the 7th day, which is the Sabbath, and made it holy. You know, some people somebody might say, man, well, what day is the Sabbath day? The Lord said the 7th day. So let's make it real simple for them. So what's today? Sunday, right? So on your calendar, you look at your calendar and you look at Sunday, the week starts. Sunday is the first day. So we go Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Saturday is so the 7th day of the week is what we call Saturday. Now mind you, it don't matter what the name of the day is, it's the number of the day. So all you really have to be able to do is count to the number 7 and understand that the 7th day. My little son can do that. He's 7 years old. He can count to 7. He know that it's the 7th day of the Sabbath of the Lord thy God, and the Lord blessed and made it holy. But let's go to Exodus chapter 31. Let's look at some of the severity of this stuff, man. The Lord does not change. Christ did not come to do away with the Lord's Sabbath day. But let's go to Exodus chapter 31 and let's pick up at verse 12. When you get that, bro, go ahead and read.
And the Lord spake to Moses, saying, Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily my Sabbath ye shall keep.
That's right.
For it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations.
So it's throughout your generation. We're talking about the children of Israel, though. Listen, the Lord gave these laws to Israel, understand that. And we understand who Israel is, but it's throughout their generations. That's an ongoing thing. That's forever. But keep reading.
That ye may know that I am the Lord that doth sanctify you. You shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is holy unto you.
That's right.
Everyone that defileth this shall surely be put to death.
Shall surely be put to death. the Lord is serious about what he's saying. But keep reading.
For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people.
Now don't think because if you break the Sabbath and work on the Sabbath day that you won't that this isn't going to come against you. The word of God is going to come against you for working on that Sabbath day. Now he's telling you don't work. You're going to be sure put to death. That's all I had to see. For me to tell my boss, look, I can't do this. In the book said I can't do this, so I can't do it. But let's keep reading, bro.
6 days may work be done, but the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, holy to the Lord. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death.
And he said it again. The Lord is not playing. This is real deal. But keep reading, bro.
Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant.
Perpetual covenant, ongoing covenant, never supposed to cease. Keep reading.
It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. And he gave it to Moses when he had made an end of communing with him upon Mount Sinai, 2 tables of testimony, tables of stone, written with the finger of God.
So written with the finger of Moses?
Of God.
God wrote that. Understand that. So these are God's Sabbath day. This is not Moses' Sabbath day. This is the Lord's Sabbath day. Mm-hmm. Understand that. Let's go and see an example of because we just read that says Exodus 31 and 15 says 6 days the work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath. But the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, holy unto the Lord. Whosoever does any work in the Sabbath day, he should be put to death. So let's see this in action. Let's see what the Lord did to a man working on the Sabbath day. Numbers chapter 15. Mm-hmm. Numbers chapter 15. Let's see what happened to somebody who tried to play with the Lord, thought it was a game, and see what happened. Yes, sir. This is the real God we're dealing with, the God of the Bible. Numbers chapter 15. Let me get that in. Numbers Bible sticking. It's all good. It's all good. Numbers chapter 15. Let's pick it up at verse 32, bro. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Sabbath day. And they that found him gathering sticks brought him to Moses and Aaron and to all the congregation. And they put him in ward because it was not declared what should be done.
Right, so they found this guy picking up sticks and working on the Sabbath, on the seventh day. After the Lord then gave this commandment, like don't work on this day. And they found somebody playing with the Lord, working on the seventh day. They didn't know what to do with him, but they put him in war. They isolated him. But keep reading.
And the Lord said to Moses, the man shall be surely put to death.
And who said it to Moses?
The Lord said to Moses.
The Lord said to Moses, this man shall surely be put to death. But keep reading, bro.
All the congregation shall stone him with stones without the camp. And all the congregation brought him without the camp and stoned him with stones, and he died as the Lord commanded Moses.
As the Lord commanded Moses. Not my Jesus. Huh?
The Lord commanded Moses.
Okay. Okay. I got some people that, oh, not my Jesus. Oh, no, my Jesus won't kill nobody. Yes, he will, though.
Yes, he will.
Yes, he will, though. Mm. But let's see who this Sabbath is for. Like I said, people try to make up excuses not to keep it because they think it's for a certain group of people. But let's pick it up by Isaiah chapter 56, bro. We're going to break it down 1 through 7. When you get there, you go ahead and read.
Isaiah 56, 1 through 7. Okay. Thus saith the Lord, keep ye judgment and do justice, for my salvation is near to come, and my righteousness to be revealed. Blessed is the man that doeth this, and the son of man that layeth hold on it, that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and keeping his hand from doing any evil. Neither let the son of the stranger that hath joined himself to the Lord speak, saying, the Lord hath utterly separated me from his people.
So he didn't include the stranger in this. He said, where we at? He said, he said, neither let the son of the stranger that hath joined himself to the Lord speak, saying, the Lord hath utterly separated me from his people. Neither let the eunuch say, behold, I'm a dry tree. So the Lord is covering all walks of people. Jews, Gentiles, Greeks, whoever. This is what he's talking about. The stranger. You understand what I'm saying? So we have no excuse not to keep the Lord's Sabbath day. But keep reading.
Thus saith the Lord to the eunuchs that keep my Sabbath, and choose the things that please me, and take hold of my covenant.
That's right.
Even unto them will I give in my house and within my walls a place and a name better than of sons and of daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off.
I should give all the incentive for anybody of another nation to come and serve the God of Israel. Understand what I'm saying? Because he's telling you, he said, even unto them, talking about the eunuch and the stranger, even unto them I will give in my house and within my walls a place and a name better than the sons and daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. So if I was a Gentile or a eunuch or a stranger, man, I'd be coming to try to get up in this. I'd be trying to get some of this here. But let's keep reading, bro.
Also the sons of the stranger that join themselves to the Lord to serve him and to love the name of the Lord, to be his servants, everyone that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it and taketh hold of my covenant.
Say everyone, not just the Jews, not just the Jewish people and stuff like that. No, he's talking about everybody. But keep reading.
Even then will I bring to my holy mountain and make joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and sacrifices shall be accepted upon my altar. For my house shall be called a house of prayer for all people.
For just the Jews.
For all people.
For all people. Anybody who want to come keep God's commandments. This is for everybody. This is wholesale. This is wholesale. So if you want to serve the God of Israel, anybody can come in and take hold of the covenant and follow the law, statutes, and commandments that the Lord gave to Israel. Therefore, they come up under the commonwealth of Israel. So you get up under that blanket, and that's what it's about, serving God. So let's look at the master. Let's look at Jesus. You know, we're supposed to be following his an example. Let's look at Jesus in Luke chapter 4 and see what he did. Let's see if Jesus kept the Sabbath day. You know, because he's the one we follow. This is why we doing this, for Jesus, to get to the kingdom. Luke chapter 4. Let's bring this down to verse 14. Go ahead. When you get that, bro, go ahead and read.
And Jesus returned into the power of the Spirit to Galilee, and there went out a fame of him through all the region round about. And he taught in their synagogues, being glorified of all. And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day, and stood up for to read.
Wait, hold on a second. So, let me just read it again. It says,
sir.
And Jesus returned in the power of the Spirit to Galilee, and went out of fame of him throughout all the region round about. So he became famous a little bit. He got a little name. He got a name going. He been doing some great things. And he taught in the synagogue. And he taught in their synagogues, being glorified of all. But keep reading. Wait, where we at? 16?
Yes, sir.
Did you read 16?
Yes, sir.
Oh, so it says, and he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and as his custom was, something that he does all the time. This is our custom. We keep the Sabbath day. That's not tradition. It's a custom. That's what we do. This is what we do.
Yes.
That's what we do. And he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day, stood up for to read. Let's see what he was reading. Let's keep reading 17, bro.
And there was given unto him the book of the prophet Isaiah. And when he had opened the book, he found the place where it was written.
That's right. So we see that what Jesus was reading, it says, and there was delivered unto him of the book of the prophet Isaiah, which is, well, this is written in like Greek or something, but he's reading the book of Isaiah. So the Lord is keeping the Sabbath day, reading the Old Testament scriptures. You see Jesus keeping the Sabbath day, the seventh day, Saturday, Sabbath day, reading the Old Testament. How we gonna do it with the Old Testament? That's all they had to read.
Right.
Understand that the brothers in the New Testament, the only thing that they had to read was the Old Testament scriptures. We can't do away with the Old Testament. And Jesus is proving that. As a matter of fact, I believe he's reading Isaiah chapter 61. But we just gonna keep moving though. But we see Jesus keeping the Sabbath day and reading the Old Testament scriptures. As he said, he didn't come away to do the law of the prophets. He came away to fulfill it. Anyway, let's keep reading. Let's get some examples of Paul. Paul, Acts chapter 18, 1 through 5. Paul, Acts chapter 18. So they say, oh, when Jesus died, he took away we don't have to do none of that stuff no more and stuff like that. Well, this is after Jesus died. Let's see what Paul was doing after Jesus died. Acts chapter 18. I ain't got that yet. My boy got a little bit more swift. Okay, here we go.
It's all
Let's go, man. That's Acts chapter 18. When you get there, bro, go ahead and read.
After these things, Paul departed from Athens and came to Corinth, and found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, lately come from Italy, with his wife Priscilla, because that Claudius had commanded all Jews to depart from Rome, and came unto them. And because he was of the same crowd, he abode with them and wrought, for by their occupation they were tent makers. Verse 4, and he reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath.
Every Sabbath. He was keeping the Sabbath day. We see Paul keeping the seventh day, Saturday Sabbath, in the New Testament, even after Jesus died. Keep reading, bro.
And persuaded the Jews and the Greeks. And when Silas and Timotheus were come from Macedonia, Paul was pressed in the spirit and testified to the Jews that Jesus was Christ.
And he was preaching Jesus to the Jews and Greeks.
Yes, sir.
And guess what he preaching Jesus from? Because Paul wasn't walking around with the book of Acts. He was living the book of Acts.
Yes, sir.
So he was walking around with the Old Testament scriptures, though. From Genesis to Malachi, he was preaching Jesus.
Wow.
Understand that. So let's look at some more with Paul keeping the Sabbath day. Acts 13. Acts chapter 13. Let's go back to 13. Acts chapter 13. Pick it up at verse 14.
But when they departed from Perga, they came to Antioch in Pisidia and went to the synagogue on the Sabbath day and sat down. And after the reading of the law and the prophets, the rulers of the synagogue sent unto them, saying, Ye men and brethren, if ye have any word of exhortation for the people, say on.
Right, so again, we see Paul in the book of Acts, after Jesus died, still going in the synagogues, reading. It says, and after still going to, basically in the synagogue, going to church on the Sabbath, sit down, read the law and the prophets, the Old Testament scriptures, like I said. Let's look at some verse 42. 42.
Okay, and when the Jews were gone out of the synagogue, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them the next Sabbath.
That's right. But keep reading.
Now when the congregation was broken up, many of the Jews and religious proselytes followed Paul and Barnabas, who speaking to them persuaded them to continue in the grace of God. And the next Sabbath day came off the whole city together to hear the word of God.
Right, so and also understand this too for those Israelites that say that the Gentiles, that the Gentiles in the New Testament are Israelites with a Gentile mindset. Understand that this is a total different group of people. These are not Israelites with a Gentile mindset. These are actually Gentiles. If you see who the Gentiles are, and you go back to Genesis chapter 10, you'll see that these are the Europeans. So Paul is speaking to a whole other nationality of people. Basically, the white man. That's what we teaching right now. The Gentile. But keep reading, bro.
But when the Jews saw the multitudes, they were filled with envy and spake against those things which were spoken by Paul, contradicting and blaspheming. Then Paul and Barnabas waxed bold and said, It was necessary that the word of God should first have been spoken to you. But seeing ye put it forth far from you, and judge yourselves worthy of everlasting life, lo, ye turn to the Gentiles.
Right. So basically, what we just see is, the Jews didn't want the Gentiles to receive this gospel. They was upset about it. But look, Paul said, look, you guys didn't want to hear the word. Y'all didn't want to do the right thing. We just going to turn to the Gentiles. Anyway, but let's stay on track about the Sabbath day, though. This is about the Sabbath day lesson. Let's go to Acts chapter 20 real quick. Acts chapter 20. Because we can go on and on about, different things. But we just going to stay on subject about this Sabbath day lesson. Acts chapter 20. And we're going to understand that, and we even see in Acts chapter 20, Paul is keeping the high Sabbath, which is the feast days. But I'm picking up at Acts chapter 20, verse 6.
Verse
6.
I'm sorry. And we sailed away from Philippi after the days of unleavened bread, and came unto them to Troas, and 5 days where we abode 7 days.
That's right, and that's what we're going to be keeping here next week. You know, we're gonna be keeping, coming up, gonna be keeping the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Passover, and all the 7 days of unleavened bread, eating unleavened bread for 7 days. We doing what Jesus told us to do, and we doing what Jesus did. We do what Paul did. You understand what I'm saying? That's a high Sabbath day. But let's go to Acts chapter, bring it down to 16.
Okay. For Paul had determined to sail by Ephesus because he would not spend the time in Asia, for he hasted, if it were possible for him, to be at Jerusalem the day of Pentecost.
Yeah, because he was trying to get to the feast of Pentecost. He knew that was an order 3 times a year. The males, the Hebrew males had to go up to Jerusalem 3 times a year for the feast. So he had to go make that feast, though. He had to get there. It's a high Sabbath day. That's a high Sabbath. You can read about those high Sabbath days in Leviticus chapter 23. So, you know, the Lord's Sabbath day is still good and still holy. And I hope somebody got some understanding that we see, you know, that even in the last days, Jesus telling us, you know, he's telling us, you know, about, you know, well, he mentions the Sabbath, you know, in Matthew 24 in the last days. Also, you know, from the beginning, how he blessed the Sabbath and hallowed it. It's a commandment. We see, you know, the Sabbath is for everybody. Isaiah 56. We also see that, you know, we see an example of Jesus keeping the Sabbath in Luke chapter 4. We also see Paul keeping the Sabbath in Acts. The Sabbath days, the 7-day Sabbath still good, and that's Saturday. Brothers and sisters, I hope that's the class. I hope somebody got some understanding that Jesus